Hey, welcome back. The final episode in our mini-series looking at how we turn a customer idea into some detailed plans that we can actually build in the workshop. Today it's the turn of taking the detailed design into the bill of materials, the layout diagrams and the costings for the customer's project. That sounds good? Stick around. Hello, welcome to the Woodgrafter. I'm Andy Guile and our mission here is to inspire, educate and support you in your journey to becoming a better woodworker. We do that through a variety of videos, project videos where we take you step by step to build a project, tool videos where we look at tool reviews, techniques, tips, setup, calibration, safe use, and every now and then specialist videos such as this one where we take a subject and we deep dive in it. So if that sounds good and you're not a subscriber, subscribe now, give me a thumbs up, get in touch with the community and say hello. And with that said, let's get cracking. So this is part 4 in the mini-series. We started off in episode 1 looking at the customer. What are they trying to achieve? What do they want us to build? Where does it fit? Sizes, materials and that sort of things. In part 2 we took those basic ideas and we created a concept diagram that we could share with the customer to say have we got the right things. Part 3, we turn that concept diagram into a detailed diagram, and today we're going to turn that detailed diagram into a set of plans. We're going to create the step-by-step guides that you see on the Woodgrafter. We're also going to create the bill of materials, the things that we need to order. We're doing the layout diagrams to make sure we know what to do with the stuff that comes in to the workshop, and putting it all together into a standard pack. Let's get cracking.
So in the last video we put this together. Now there's enough details inside here to create our construction plans from, and also to work out the components that we need to order from our stockist, i.e. the raw material, and to work out the cost for the customer. I'm going to create a number of scenes. So the first scene I'm going to create is going to be the full picture. That's this view we've got now. And in this full picture, I just want to get rid of the axes, these guys, I don't want those. And just zoom in and find a good position for it. That looks good to me. And now I can update that. Now every picture that I now create is going to be based on this scene. And actually I just want to change the style of this. I want the background to be white. And now I can get rid of the axes and now I can update that. Perfect. The next scene I'm going to create, it will be the top. That's the first thing that we're going to build. And then we'll have a look at the legs. And then we will have a look at the skirts, I think. Then we'll look at the stretchers. I think I've spelled that wrong. Stretchers. Then we will look at the internal end assembly. Then we're going to look at the mid point bearers. Then we're going to look at the center bearer. Then we'll have a look at the drawers. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps that we're going to use to build this table. So we then go into top and you can see that every single one of these has now created that master diagram for us. So I go into top and it's simply a case of turning off everything that's not related to the top. And as you can see, I've now just got the top in place. Put that in a position that looks good. I like it there. I then make another layer and I call this one XX_top and I select that. Now that's the one I put the dimensions on, which allows me to turn those on and off. Tools, dimensions, tools, and then it's simply a matter of calling out the key details that you want to show. So we know this is 1240 millimeters long. Each of the slats is 70 millimeters wide, 30 millimeters deep, making up a total top of 700 millimeters. Then I just want to update the font on this to make everything bigger. Otherwise, when you print out the plans, you can't read it in the workshop. Outside start. Okay, and then you update that picture. And it's that simple. So we now go through step by step on each of these scenes, just dropping in the dimensions that we think are important for the final construction. What I also like to do is to just drop any important notes. So it's all American white oak, 10 slats laminated. Okay, and then I can just make that 18 as well so we can see it. Show you one more. We're going to the legs. Turn off everything I don't want. Don't want the, oops, sorry. I don't want the top. I don't want the stops, the stretchers, carcass, end panel. I don't want the drawers. So that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead with that type of view to show there's two of these assemblies for the end legs. New layer, XX underscore legs. Make that active layer. Dimensions, overall dimension. And it's as simple as this. It really is just going around and making sure you've got all the dimensions that you want on this, and make all the text big enough to see. I want to capture this top piece as well here. And then we'll repeat this across here. So I'll go ahead and complete all these diagrams, and then we'll come back together and see how we make a cutting list. So I've gone ahead and created a scene for each of the main steps in our build. We've obviously got the full picture, we've got the top showing the laminations and the overall sizes, we've got the leg assemblies including the laminated legs and the end panels, we've got the white oak stretchers, some of the internal components. We've got the two end assemblies here, showing that we've got a combination of white oak and poplar. We've got the midpoint bearers, the more complicated oak centre bearer, and then we've got the drawer details. So there's now enough information in there for us to create the step-by-step guides that accompany the videos. Now the next thing I want to do is to create a cut list and layout diagram, so I know what I'm buying, I know what I'm charging the customer, I know what material I need to cut out of what stock. For that I use a piece of software known as Cutlist Plus FX. Now in order to get the information about our table into Cutlist Plus, I have another plugin here called Export to Cutlist Plus FX. And if you remember when we were going through, we added some extended entity information that told us the sub-assembly name, the dimensional lumber, the type of lumber, and the fat required for milling this. It's taking this information along with the standard entity information here, so we know where it sits, top slat and so on and so forth. So if this is a component and you've added extended entity information using the plugin, it's simply a matter of selecting all of this, file, export to Cutlist Plus. And you'll see it's created a file here called Coffee Table Plan version 0.1 CWX on my desktop on my Mac. Good news. So I can double click on that and that will import that into our software. And you can see what it's done. It's identified each of those. So we've got 4 leg sub-assemblies, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I need 4 copies of each. They're 42 millimeters thick because it's added 2 millimeters onto the dimension for us to allow us to mill this thing out. 472 millimeters long. It's dimension lumber. It's American oak, and then it also gives me the final dimensions that I need. So that's worked out my cut list for me. So you can see that's really quite useful, and it gives everything a unique part number. Now if you wanted to, you could go ahead and you could add some more details here. What I like about this program, it also allows me to put some raw materials in it. If I go from my dimensioned lumber, you can see I've got oak American white set up, and what I've done, I've gone through my supplier and I've identified everything that my supplier can give me in that material. So it shows me the thickness of stock I can get. I can get 26mm, 32mm, 38mm, 51mm, 63mm, 76mm. It also shows me the width, so I tend to buy mine in 200mm widths. And it shows me the lengths, and I've just gone for simple 1m, 2m and 3m lengths of this, and then the unit cost for each of the boards of those sizes. It shows me I can buy more, and if I wanted to I could put my vendor in here. My vendor is Timber Source Direct. I can also add in whether I need to put any tax on here, and I need to add VAT, being in the UK, value added tax, which is 17.5%, so I just indicate that needs to be added. If you're in the US, that could well be your US tax and your state tax, I think it's called. Now if I had any of this in stock, I could also come along and say, hey, I've got some stock in my inventory here, and then it would use that stock before it tells me to go out and buy some more. So my bill of materials show me what I need to purchase from my supplier. Up here it shows me my saw curve is actually 2.4 I think on the Festool system, but 3.2 is good enough, and it tells me whether the material has grain or so on and so forth. So that's good. So I've got oak American white set up, and I've also got poplar set up as well. So these are the sizes I can buy poplar in, and these are the unit price per board with taxation, and again buying that from Timber Source Direct. Now when I come back to my parts, you'll see the problem here is I've just called that oak American. So I need to change this to oak American white so it knows what parts of my inventory I'm using. I can update the plugin in SketchUp to allow for oak American white, but I've just not bothered to do that because I'm just too lazy, I guess. But let me just update this quickly here. Now when I come over to the layout diagram, you can see it's giving me a warning message here that one or more parts could not be placed in a layout diagram, and it's told me to go and look at the bill of materials, skip tab to find out more. So we'll look at that in a second and fix that problem. But what this has now done, that's taken everything from the parts list. In fact, you can see it's highlighted the one that was skipped, it's a draw base. That's taken everything on the parts list. It's looked at all the material we've got in our inventory for oak American white and poplar. Now this is saying to me, if I get 26mm thick stock, 200mm wide and 3m length, I can get all these parts out of that by laying out that panel. And similarly, it's giving me all these parts here as well. And you can see it's grouped my draw fronts together, and that's going to give me that consistent look of grain that I was looking for. And it's done that for every single part. It's got the top slats inside here, and again it's grouped those together, so I should get a nice grain layout on that one. And then it's given me the overall legs out of a single piece of 51 by 200 by 2 meter length stock. Now when I come to the bill of materials, I can now look at my dimensional lumber, and this is now telling me what it is I need to buy to give me that layout. I need 4 lots of oak American white and 2 lots of poplar, and it's giving me the overall cost of those based on the cost that I said, and it's saying how much I need to buy and how much I need to bring in from the inventory. So that's really quite good. Now what it will also do is take me along to the pricing list, and it will tell me that the total cost for all that material is £348.73 excluding VAT. And it will tell me the VAT is £61.03. So to buy the stock for the table is £502.17. And that's really useful information. So I know the bill of materials, what I've got to buy from Timber Source Direct, and I know how to lay it out on my panels for maximum effect. And we're all looking pretty good. Now I want to have a look at this problem, this skipped parts problem. As we suspected, it's part number 14. It's the draw, and it's the draw base, and it's because it's narrow or short stock. The specified material stock size of the right thickness are either too narrow or too short, or there's not enough inventory. Now we know that the stock width we tend to have is 200mm. Now if you look here, this is 305mm. Now what I can do, I can add a new component. So I'm going to add a glued up panel. Now the size of the finished panel is going to be 303 millimeters. I'm going to need 4 of these. The length of this is going to be 470, and the maximum width of the pieces to be glued is 200. Now I can calculate that, and that's telling me that I now need 2 pieces per panel with a width per piece of 151 and a length per piece of 470. And you can see now that that's added a panel in here and specified the material that we need to work with, but it's not got all the details that we need. So we now need to tell it that it's going to be poplar, and we now need to tell it its final dimensions, which was 10 millimeters. It was 151.5 and the overall length was 470. And now I can delete this part here that was the old draw base. And now we can edit the name. You are now the draw base and you are a panel. Okay, well now with that panel added, we can now go back into the layout and you can see the error message is gone. And you can see in the popular here, it's now added the drawbacks into, and you can see in the popular here, it's now added the draw bases that we need to laminate together. It's updated the bill of materials, so I now need to know I need to buy some more of that popular, and it's also updated the pricing, bringing the price in at £505.97. So we're in good shape, I think. So I can export the parts list, I can export the layout diagrams and export the bill of materials, and then that gives us the final information that we need for our step-by-step guide. So I'm going to do that and I'll see you back in the workshop.
So there you have it. We now have a detailed set of plans that take us all the way through, from the concept all the way through to the detailed instructions that we're going to need to build the project. And of course these are the plans that you need to accompany the next series we're going to do, which is building the coffee table. And as you can see, the materials arrived. It's acclimatizing here in the workshop to get me down to about 9%, 10% moisture content, and then we can crack on and build it. We'll look at that in the next series. See you soon.